All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Jesse is back. We're going to talk a little bit about Path of Exile 1. That's the Mirage League that's about to be launched in a couple days. Today is Wednesday for me. The league launches Friday, which means this week, all I've done is think about what I want to do and what my plans are and what my build is going to be and make some new, cool, creative build that no one else has thought of before. Something about being old and employed is I think this league more so than past Path of Exile 1 leagues, I'm really just going to try to just vibe and relax and chill out and just kind of let the league come to me and not, maybe just come up with ideas organically, week 1, week 2 into the league. Because I really did not like Keepers League. I didn't have a great time. It also, the timing worked out where I just had a lot of other stuff going on. I didn't get to play at all. And I also didn't really love Mercenaries League, which is funny. I feel like I've loved leagues that some people really hated, and I didn't like leagues that a lot of people loved. I really hope they don't bring Mercenaries back into the game, but maybe that's another video. So this league, they're not going to be a bunch of walls in the maps, and there's not going to be a forced walls mechanic in, literally Act 1 while you're trying to fight Roas. So thank God for that. Instead, we're going to be entering little mirages, which is basically just more content in the map. It's just another little map in the map. And I am all for this mechanic. To me, this sounds like they're just giving players what they want. And in a game like this, with players who are mostly veterans and a game that's been around a decade and is very, a lot of the stuff is kind of baked in. I'm all for them not. You don't have to do so much to make the player base happy. You really don't. And being not a Path of Exile 2 enjoyer, I'm really, really glad that they just delivered basically what people want. It's this in-map mechanic, or mostly in-map mechanic, that doesn't really affect other stuff, other parts of the game. It adds currency and it adds player power and it adds some build ideas, and they do a balance pass and they add some skill gems, which I would have been good with no skill gems. To be honest, I would prefer they just make a bunch of changes to the existing stuff. But it is a sign that I think that they are investing a little bit more time into Path of Exile 1, since it sort of got, all of the Path of Exile 1 enjoyers were told to kick rocks when Path of Exile 2 had that really long delayed league cycle and got all the investment from the company. So all things are good. I'm like an optimist about this. I'm actually very cheerful about this. Very good. But as with most of my videos, I'm a complainer. I love, we're just here to bitch and moan. The mechanic itself, the player power is you get a 7 link on a usual 6 link. You just get another gem, support gem on your main gem. Seems perfectly cool. They haven't revealed all the exceptional support gems, which I think is really interesting, and I love that. I kind of miss the discovery while the league is happening live of like somebody finds something out like 3 days into the league. I think it's super interesting. Yeah, the new skills seem interesting. They added a new Reliquarian ascendancy that I'm definitely not going to play, but more power to the build creators that want to pursue that. It didn't seem very strong to me, but yes, I've been looking a lot at Assassin because I used to really love Cast on Critical Strike, played a lot of Inquisitor and Assassin, and they didn't make any changes to some of the garbage tier notables, and even these leading notables are just not very good. Ironically, the chance to poison is like the best stat on any of these small notables. But these two in particular, having this interesting node blocked behind this trash node is a tough pill to swallow if you're going to try to play some interesting, weird cast on crit setup, especially if you want to do a bloodline ascendancy, because you sort of feel like I would love to use this node in a cast on critical strike situation. I want to force Cyclone, even though it's bad. I want to force Cyclone cast on critical strike because I think it's it's fun to play visually and it's very satisfying. And it's easy on RSI and stuff. Like you just hold down right click, which I'm a huge fan of. But yeah, I think maybe they'll give it another pass. The next league, regardless. Another thing that they changed is the Atlas tree that I pulled up. Yeah, the Path of Pathing. So they added some nodes here in this western part of the tree by the Templar, the long neck boy. Nothing that inspired me in particular, but kudos. I mean, this node is actually kind of interesting. Global accuracy is not particularly easy to come by, and 40% is not a small amount. I even think it required a golden oil when I looked at it, which is interesting. But yeah, the ascendancy changes themselves. I love when they make numerical adjustments. They don't make as many numerical adjustments as I would like, and I understand that they want to make new content because the content is what drives revenue. Most casual players, they're only going to be even joining the league is if there's something new. So for those of us who just like the game and want to see stuff in the game that we already are aware of change and get adjusted and balanced, I think we're probably the hardest people to please, especially if this is a company. I mean, they're revenue driven, and you gotta sell supporter packs, and so I get it. But I would have done a little bit more here, and especially, oh my gosh, where's the unique item balance? So this is another thing that I sort of have this long-standing beef with, is that I understand you need to have bad unique items in the game. And it's logical, to have trash one-out uniques because of the way that item rarity works, and you're going to get a lot and blah, blah, blah. And basically every single base type has a unique. But especially after they changed the armor types and they added a whole nother few layers of power to base level armors, Veil Regalia or whatever is no longer the top. And I wish that they took a look at especially some body armors, because body armors that are using the older base types, just the numbers are just bad, and they're basically unplayable when compared to an Eater Exarch. The thing is interesting is these yellow armors. A lot of these changes are actually to weapons, which that's another factor. But the armors specifically is I'm like, you got to look at the armors. And give those numbers a pass. I think I would much prefer that. But it's a lot of very in-game stuff, and I'm glad they did this. It makes sense. Like logically, you want the T0s to all have value outside of dust. But yeah, I have some projects that I would like to work on in making meme builds and off-meta weird jank builds they can't come to fruition without number adjustments on some of the off-meta unique items. I mean, because they're just so unplayable without it. And the implicit modifiers, Eater Exarch implicits, are extremely powerful. So every single time there's an armor, gloves, boots, body armor, helm, they need to look at all the old uniques and try to account for that. So that's my request for next league. And then the other thing is my other balance thing that I talk about balance a lot. There are a lot of nodes on this tree that have not been changed in a long time that are garbage. I know this is something they're going to start doing. Apparently Octavian's now dedicated to Path of Exile 1, which is amazing. I'm very, very happy that there's not some cross-pollination in the ideas where because I do think the player bases are a little bit different. Speaking for myself, I don't like Path of Exile 2, and I like Path of Exile 1. So I do hope that I'm glad that there's some distinction on that front from the company structure standpoint. Yeah, some of these individual nodes, like the path nodes, some of them in some parts of the tree are objectively just garbage. I personally think a lot of the evasion nodes, when compared to the nodes on the other, this node, let's talk about what I've been trying to do. Okay. What I have been trying to do is find a workable build that is shadow, that is either using the assassin that was recently reworked or the saboteur, which was recently buffed. Some of the numbers got better on the sabo, and I really want to make it work. And in the early progression, the first 3, 4, 5 days, you're committed to using a lot of nodes in the tree. And the bottom left part of the tree is just better. So spell suppression got nerfed. And I used to complain about spell suppression and be like, that spell suppression is overpowered, too easy to get, whatever. I used to be like, be like, boo-hoo, I want spell suppression on this side of the tree. Which is super ironic because of all the access to incredibly powerful nodes right around this area that are defensive. The defensive options in this part of the tree are just real bad. Like really, really, really bad. And it's no surprise when looking at league start choices and league start build videos. Like there's a lot of minors right now. Like if you're going to be one of these ascendancies, you're like Sanguinate Miner kind of thing. Pyroclast Mine is getting some attention now because you can be like in the far corner of the screen, like getting the hell away from enemies. But if you're trying to do what I'm doing and maybe do some meme cast on crit with Cyclone, and you're trying to take this garbage node and like path up to this interesting node, I'm going to have like 200 deaths before I reach level 70. I mean, it's a skill issue, but I'm just saying. It's also like, so am I supposed to get like some evasion chest and then hope that 20% plus 18% hope that this 38% with chance to spell suppress on full life, hope that these nodes are like, all right, these are my defensive nodes. I'm investing points into these. I mean, it is nothing. It is nothing. You get absolutely stomped. And it's funny because armor has been in a weird place too for a long time. Defenses in general in this game are in such a weird place where I don't know how to even build this kind of character as a starter unless I'm following one of the glass cannon builds, unless I'm following a glass cannon miner build, where you invest a lot more points into DPS and you hope that the clear, or you're some projectile skill, right? Like let's say you're trying to do some kind of, or even spark or something, I don't know, but something where you're trying not to be close to the enemies. You're trying to get multiple hits with returning projectiles, or you're trying to get multiple overlaps of some AoE mine explosion through pyroclast, whatever. And you need to invest all these points into offense because that's like the only way that you even survive is like kill the enemies off screen. And so I am struggling with my history as a slams player, having played slams for years, and other bottom left of the tree builds, and occasionally inquisitors and things. But I have league started Rage Vortex a lot, and I've league started Earth Shatter a lot. I've league started the 4-link Sunder setup through maps a lot. When they did that huge rework to melee skills and slams, I mean, starting from that point especially, I basically played this class, the Marauder, every league for like the next 8 leagues. I just think I'm going to end up feeding and dying a lot this season in the early phase because I cannot figure out how to get defenses on this side of the tree at all. If somebody has some super secret expert plan as to how you even survive over here, I'm all ears. How do you survive and actually have a build that does any damage, that does anything? Would love to hear that. Send me information in the comments. I don't know if I have much else to contribute. I was hoping what I would do is show you this like fully fleshed out tree with a couple interesting unique items that I'm looking at. What was I even doing yesterday? I was looking at what is the Triumvirate Authority. I was trying to calculate some soul costs for Veil Clarity because that's what I did last league. I was messing with Veil Clarity. But and I don't remember if I had what was I using? A lightning cut into the heavens. No. So, but I just don't think I'm even going to have anything in time. I have, too many real life responsibilities. But I'm probably going to do a few more practice runs of Shadow and hope for the best. And I still really would love to be an assassin that actually paths to this node. I would love for that to be a viable solution to anything. But the assassin defenses and this starting point, these defenses in this area are just awful. I love the new exceptional supports. I know I mentioned that earlier, but the idea of these exceptional supports, and there's apparently 40, over 40, that's awesome. That is great. Well done. This is way more interesting than the skills. I don't even want active skills. You make interesting supports. That's super cool. So yeah, I guess that'll be it. Hope you all are having a nice Wednesday, and I hope you all have a nice league start. That's it. Gosh, I forgot how to make videos.